and welcome to this video on using Keynote to create custom graphics using the built-in shapes and the subtract tool. I'm Martin Coates, an independent Apple professional learning specialist, and I work with schools around the world to help develop the skills they need for teaching and learning using iPad. Let's jump in and see what we're going to do today. Keynote is a versatile tool that allows us to move away from making presentations to creating visually stunning, simple graphics like this that can be used as prompts for creative writing or even showing off design skills within class. Let's take a look at how we can make some of these. I have a blank presentation that I've been working on that just has a background that is suitable for what I'm wanting to do. If I go into my Shapes tool and I pick the circle, I can start to adjust this to fit whatever needs I want. Now the Subtract tool is a great way to do this. Now in order to do that, you take two shapes, and a good tip is to make the second one a different colour, as it allows you to see exactly where you're going to cut. Think of this like a pair of scissors and you're cutting out something within a bit of paper. Now using the click and drag option, I can select both shapes, tap on my format tool, my paintbrush at the top, tap arrange, and then the third tool at the bottom where it says combine shapes is the subtract tool. That allows me to cut a shape to a particular size. I can also constrain the proportions. I can keep the breadth and the width at the same size. So whenever I pull on one of the corners, it will adjust in the same ratio. The proportions will be constrained. Now this is a great tool if you're wanting to teach scale factor or even ratios and how that might affect breadth and width, size, things of that nature. Color is a great way for you to select the mood for a scene or convey the mood for a scene. So I'm just going to take this kind of muted orange here as we're looking at a sunset, sunrise, whatever you want to say. Now a great tip I got from fellow ADE Ben Hayden is to copy a shape and mess around with the opacity in order to show that something has a particular glow or feel to it. Now if I just take the same shape and I duplicate it 2 or 3 times, increasing the size from a central point, I can give the impression that sunlight is reflecting off of clouds, and I can start to play around with the scene, start to give it a little bit of feel. Now doing this in a lesson with pupils, this wouldn't be just a single 10-minute video. This would be a long process. It would be over a couple of lessons where you would be having them think about all of these different aspects. And it's also a good way to do some cross-curricular ways of working. Now, when I'm using Keynote like this, I always like to use the negative space. Ben Mounts always talks about negative space and using that to great effect. Well, the outside of the slide is a great space for that. Now you can have pupils use this as much as possible. You can move them, have it come up, expose out. If you notice that your alignment is off, I've grouped these shapes. I'm just going to ungroup them. I'm going to adjust the alignments. I'm just going to move this top one out the way. I'm going to work on my arrangement. So the largest one should be at the back, smallest one at the front, so on and so forth. And I'm just going to adjust these so that they are all meeting in the middle. Now that horizontal and vertical yellow lines let me know exactly whether my shape is in the right space. Now I'm just going to use my hold and drag technique, same way that I would do if I had a cursor. I can do that with my finger, and I'm just going to centrally align this on my slide. Okay, not looking too bad. Might make it a little bit smaller, but that's what group is good for. Now another thing that we can do is we can start to combine shapes. We can start to put them together to create the effect, almost like a ripple effect. Now the way that I would do this is I'm going to create a rounded rectangle. I'm going to take the radius to the maximum. I'm going to adjust the length just to match. This is almost like a slide that I use, almost like a canvas. And if I do this here and then duplicate this, so I'm just going to copy it, adjust it to the top, make it a bit smaller there, tap copy, and then paste in a second one. I'm just going to kind of align these just to skew to the left ever so slightly. I'm going to take a third one, but this one I'm going to squish. Alright, so I'm just going to make this smaller because I don't want it to be 3 the exact same size. Right? I quite like using a smaller one in the middle. Now they're all black, I can't tell what's overlapping, so let's adjust the middle one to a red. And as you can see, it's actually overlapping, so it's not quite the right size. So let's just move this up. I quite like the thickness that I have there, looking good. Right, let's start to use that cutout tool again. So there we go. Let's copy the middle one, paste it again. This time I'm going to change it to a different color so I can see where I'm going to cut it out. Adjust, let's put one there, looking good. Let's paste it again. So copy the yellow one, paste it again, put it to the other side. Yeah, that's looking good. That gives me this kind of flow. Right, so let's cut the first two. Right, move the yellow one back to the front. Always want the shape that you are using the cutout for. Have that on the top. Okay, looking good. This time change it back to black so that it's all the same. And this time, instead of group, I'm going to highlight all three. So same way I have done before. And I'm going to go back to the paintbrush, go out to my arrange tool, and this time I'm going to use the first option in that combine shapes. Okay, that is actually the combine option. That's where I can take an individual shape and I can make it one that I want to use. If I tap add to shapes, it's going to be there and used whenever I want to. This will be used in any slide. So I'm going to put that there. I'm going to make it the same color, but maybe a slightly darker shade. There we go. Just gives that effect as if it's a reflection. It's quite a good tool to use. Again, just going to copy. I'm going to adjust, overlap, do everything I need to. This time it's going to be the water, so I'm going to make it a kind of muted blue. Looking good. I am going to duplicate this shape again. Zoom in for a little bit of just a little bit of closer working. So let's paste. This time I'm going to put it here. Overlap so that the shapes are moving together. And I'm just going to do this 2 or 3 more times in order to give me that kind of ripple effect. Maybe flip it. And you can have pupils, you can do this, you can have a bit of a play, create these graphics. Great way to kind of have pupils look at creative writing and things of that nature. I'm even going to take just one more. I think maybe, yeah, let's put one more in just down at the bottom here. I can always group, adjust the size, okay, but this image I think would benefit more from one more. There we go. This time I'm just going to select everything on the page. I'm going to group them and I'm going to adjust the size. That's the way to do things with group. If you want to combine a shape, don't use the group option. Use the combine option if you're wanting to keep it as a particular shape. Now, one last effect that I could do is if I take my ripple, it's maybe quite a dark blue. I might want to give it a little bit of the feel that it's got the sunlight reflecting off it. So let's duplicate it, put it on top. Now this time I'm just going to ungroup and I'm going to combine. Once I change the color, so let's change the color to that orange. Go back to arrange. Doing this a couple of times. No, definitely is combine the best way to do it. So I can even take the opacity down, but as you can see I've got the overlapping options giving me that darker, so that's maybe not the best way, but if I tap combine, it almost gives me this muted shade of blue, almost like the orange sunlight is reflecting off. Now that's just a very, very quick way that you can use custom shapes to build things together. Great for pupil storytelling and writing.